Right on. All right, should we dive into the questions? I think that's what we do. Um, so part one, it says start the discussion by asking one student to list positive results of the pilot program. There are lots of examples. Brianna, you want to start us off?
Okay, sorry. What was the question? My computer is kind of on fire right now.
That's all right. Just asking about what some of the positive results of the pilot program were.
Oh, I think culture, longevity of employment. I think the overall involvement as well. I think it was, yeah.
Involvement of
Involvement of, I don't know how to put this. When people are given opportunities to create something at work, you're empowering them to take something and run with it. You tend to get more people involved if you give them that responsibility. And I think that was one of the things is people felt empowered through this mentor and the people who created the program. Does that make sense?
Yeah, there's different chains of involvement from the mentees to the mentors to the people who were heading it up. Okay. Okay, thank you. Anybody else?
I think a lot to the relationships that they build that will allow them to continue to build their career. I mean, they've got the mentor-mentee relationship, but then they've also got other things that are going to spur off from that. They may run into their mentor's friend or someone else and just get another connection that they can utilize later.
So networking.
Exactly.
Okay. Okay. Right on. So the second question is, what are the reasons behind the positive results?
I think we kind of covered it in class. Is in a way is everybody chose to be a part of it, and through the process there was a lot of choice for the mentors and mentees of the relationship of what they wanted in their career and their job satisfaction. So I think that was kind of one of the keys that people got out of it.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? Mark, do you have any?
Sorry, can you repeat the question? I'm getting a little fuzzy feedback here too.
Maybe I'll turn my mic up. I don't know if that'll help. But it just asked to list some of the reasons behind the success of the pilot program.
Well, I think anytime you invest in your employees or invest the time in it, employees see that coming, or they recognize it. I recognize it when I realize my employer is putting time and energy into me, into improving me. So I kind of want to put my best foot forward when that's the case. I just feel motivated, if that makes sense.
Sure.
I feel more motivated to actually learn if my employer cares.
Yeah, I have a more vested interest in my job if I know that my employer is going to bat for me.
Mm-hmm. Right. And whereas if you think that it's just, you see it as a 9 to 5 and your employer just like, okay, figure it out. Like, well, he doesn't care about me.
Right. Okay. Derek, you said research and preparation.
Yeah, I think they did a lot of groundwork before launching the program. They wanted to see who would actually be interested, um, what they would actually teach. I like how one of the mentors said, they're not there to give the solutions. They're there to help the mentees find the solutions on their own and help support them. And I think that was key for both parties. I think both parties benefited from it. And the fact that they were adamant about keeping it to 25 pairs right off the bat was a good idea, because they had so many people interested, but I think it would have been too much for them to actually control and manage right off the bat.
Yeah.
Yeah, they kind of bit them for the second round. I think maybe some of the people that got rejected the first round are like, well, if they're not going to pick me this time, I'm not going to go the second time. But it looked like things picked up on the third time around again. So.
Yeah. And I also think like the matching process, just kind of setting people up for success through their interests, through their backgrounds, through their, I mean, it talked about being, but also being like enough different that they can learn and grow, but also enough similarities that they're able to connect and build rapport. And like reading some of those testimonials, it seemed like people were connecting on a much deeper level than just in a business relationship. And it just reminded me of like the Super Saturday reading, where they would all the time that they spent selecting people. And I don't know if they were that intensive about it, but I think that could be one of the reasons for their success as well.
I think a lot of it has to do with management being behind it. They mentioned earlier that knowing that your employer is investing in you is very critical. The case outlined that the first time they tried the pilot program, it failed. It's because the management wasn't behind the program. So,
yeah. Does anybody have any other suggestions what might lead to, I don't know, more positive outcomes? Like what additional measures could they take to, I don't know, ultimately ensure the success of the pilot program, I guess?
I think planning for the mentees, giving them a path, like a career path with the company, saying this is what you get, like kind of like a goal-oriented, like, yeah, you get like a great, awesome job with this company, or like a network, or, does that make sense? Yeah.
Yeah, it says in the, if I could speak up a bit, it says one of the big problems that they had was maintaining a high level of excitement, enthusiasm. Like when you're first starting this whole idea, you're like, hey, I'm partnered up with someone, I'm going to learn from them, I'm going to get this high level job. There's a lot of excitement there. But how do we maintain that level of excitement? I guess it's I guess that's more of a question, not really an answer. But I think that's kind of one of their problems. The case says that's one of their problems, is they have to maintain that enthusiasm. So how they could improve is looking at ways of improving, looking at ways and how you can maintain that enthusiasm. One thing that just pops to my mind is switching mentors out every now and again. Like if you're stuck in the monotony of the same guy, okay, you get in a routine and you get less enthusiastic about things, right? That's what happens. So if you swap out mentors every now and again, you get different perspectives on things. Like, okay, cool, what am I learning today? Or who can I network with today?
Do you think the duration of a year plays into that? Like the lack of enthusiasm with people?
Yeah, it's a lot. It's quite a bit. It's a long time. So I think it might play into it a bit. Like you can't be excited about your job all the time unless you absolutely love what you do, right? And you which is great, but I think everyone has those days or those times they don't necessarily love their job. And doing the same thing over and over and over again, sure, it's drilled into your head at that point, but you lose enthusiasm for it after a while.
I agree with him, because it is a longevity. Because if you think about it, a lot of certificate programs are a year. You're halfway through a master's in a year. So at the end of that year, they didn't really have anything to show for it. And I think that's where a lot of it is lost. I think if it was like more like a 6 month with, again, if they love their job, if they're invested in the company, I think you would also have, like, oh my gosh, I just completely spaced your name, Canada. Mark, I'm so sorry.
It's cool.
Yeah. just
you can hover over the little pictures in the bottom and see everyone's name.
Well, it says biggest foot
Oh
9.
crap! Never mind. That's my email thing. Never mind.
That was my problem earlier.
Okay. Yeah, my name's Mark.
Okay. Yeah, I know it's Hilden.
Yeah, it's Hilden. I don't know why it does that. That's my a username on
it is
Google Plus, I guess. So
anyways, but that's what I'm saying is they would have more success if there was a better motivation at the end, internally or externally for the people. A year is a really long time to do a mentor program, because there's nothing at the end of a mentor program. James?
I was going to say, I wonder if you can look at it as I've ran a marathon, and I didn't start on day one and say I'm going to run a marathon. I ran 45 seconds and walked for 15. That was how I started, and then I ran a 3.1. I did 6.2. I did a half marathon, and then finally built up to my 26.2 miles. If these mentorship programs couldn't have milestones every quarter, so every 4 months have a milestone, or at least have a 6 month milestone, just because it is a significant investment of time. Give them something smaller to look forward to. So.
Okay, thank you. Something that I was thinking, and I don't know, this is kind of a question, I guess, but it talked about, and you just put incentives, Derek. That was what I was going to say. It said that the being enrolled as a mentor or a mentee in the program did not reflect in your performance reviews. And I think it's a nice thought to have, like, that all these people are going to go about bettering themselves, learning about the culture and diversity and opportunities for growing within the company. And you want that to be like authentic, and people who are coming in with genuinely wanting to learn and to grow and to care about the company. But I don't think that's going to be everybody's case. And so if that could reflect in a bonus or in your performance review, a guaranteed promotion, obviously that would incentivize people. But I guess I'm wondering what your thoughts are, if that would be beneficial or not.
I think you would need to know how to incentivize them. Like, that's something that we're working on at work right now. Is some people want the money, some people want the prestige, some people want both. So yeah, just like Derek said, everyone's different. So how do you find an incentive that could be plugged into this program?
One thing I was worried about is how the people that aren't in the program, how resentful they are of the people that are. Because it did sound like they would miss days of work. Yeah, they would have to make it up, but I can see everyone else that's employed at the bank, or sorry, uh, employed where they're at, just be bitter and be like, oh, they just get to vacation, they get to have a little buddy from management to help them, excel while I'm over here doing all the grunt work. So I wonder how much of that is going on and internally ruining the morale there as opposed to just the internship or not the mentorship.
I would agree, Derek. They had said in this that it wasn't widely advertised within the company. So all of a sudden you have an employee that, or a coworker that starts disappearing for a day here and there. That's going to even build more resentment.
Right on. Well, moving on, I was a little confused by the third question, where it says follow up by asking how these reasons or causes for success resulted in success. Which ones are the most important? Are any of them specific to the bank, or would they work in other organizations? So I think it's referring to the reasons for the positive results in the program. Did that make any sense?
That's what I got out of it too, in a nutshell.
I think it would work for any business. They did bring in that consulting firm who tailored it specifically to the banking industry, but I think that the way that they approached it, it could work for almost any industry.
Yeah, I think fundamentally when someone's being mentored, they kind of feel like they're get one-on-one training, and that's not something that people generally get these days. So it kind of makes the employee feel special, I guess. So it kind of makes them feel like they're being invested in, and I think that feeling of being invested in is a big motivating factor for people. So kind of going back to backtracking my comment before, that if they don't feel like they're being invested in, then they're not going to feel motivated. So I think that's all this effort and all this support from management was definitely what was helping motivate people, and resulted in good results.
Kind of to piggyback what Mark was saying, it also seemed like any of the mentors or most of the mentors had a broader perspective of what the company could really offer all its employees. And so you had some of the mentees who were like, I don't know if this is for me. I have a background in something totally different. I'm ready to get out of this position and stop working for this company. Where the mentor kind of shed some light and said, hey, you could do this, or expand your network. We have other options for you. And they ended up staying and actually working to help the company grow. And I think just like one of the mentors mentioned before, like they'll pay it forward. Since they have a testimony of the mentorship, that they'll actually pass it along to future ones, I believe.
Right on. Thank you. So part two, and we've kind of already talked about this, and I mean, just real quick, how can mentoring help employees with career development?
I think it would just give the employee more knowledge of I don't want to say it's a secretive society, but more insight into the upper echelon of the management realm of the company. When you're at the top of your area, you don't know what else is out there. You speak to someone who's higher up, they can see further into the organization and know what potential options there are. So it's just that outside viewpoint.
Okay, thanks. Anything else?
Yeah, I would agree with James on that, because I think one of the things that also helped is to see and develop the mentors' um, uh, viewpoint on things. Um, and I think, I don't know if anybody's, like, I've had a mentor before for working on a nonprofit. And we did totally separate things, but we were working on a big fundraiser. And it was really helpful to see how they handled situations and helped me handle situations. Even though we didn't have the same background, I think that's one of the whole points of the mentor-mentee is you don't have to be going in the same career path as your mentor, because you can, business across the board is business. But it's handling that. And I think it's a good opportunity for mentors to become better managers, because helping others helps, like, remind you how to manage them. Does that help? I feel like I have ADD tonight. Sorry, guys.
Oh yeah, I think that's right on. What other approaches or programs might help employees to develop their careers?
You know what? While I was listening to everybody talk, I couldn't help but start thinking about networking. I think this program really needs more focus on networking, because when you're just pairing up a mentor with a mentee, that's good, and I think they could have that, and if it works out and they decide that they want to go for a year, that's fine. But I think that when you're networking, it's expanding your horizons and allowing you to really utilize the people that are within the company to help you become a better employee.
So, okay, so here's some ideas, and just because I kind of going off of what D2 said. So, like, my job offers the opportunity to work from home. It's a part-time position, but for a lot of moms, they really love it. Another thing is kind of like what D1 was saying. What about, like, tuition or certifications, or, because again, across the board, a managerial accounting certificate. Okay, obviously this is the world I live in, accounting. It goes across the board. So for them to help me get to that point of taking that exam, or, offering and helping find ways to accomplish those things, might also help. Yeah, there you go, Derek. Company car or gas card.
Yeah. Well, and I think I think there's a lot of ways to define that, what it's asking, with the career development. Like, how can we improve employees, like, in their developing their careers, and whether that, like has been said, with the networking and incentives and just information in general. Like, I could see, and I'm not a mom, I don't have kids, I don't have to work from home, but I would maybe be hesitant or reluctant to pursue a career within something if I had this idea or notion that I had to go into the office every day. And meanwhile, I could be an accountant from home, take care of my family, and it would be great. But if I didn't know about some of those opportunities, it would maybe be obviously hard to pursue them. Okay.
Sorry, I have a question. So looking at that, would it be advantageous for the program to look into and develop kind of the network for those kind of jobs? Like, would it benefit that particular program as part of the incentive, saying, okay, we have all these connections to help you find this type of career, or this type of incentive, or company that has these incentives that you like? I mean, would that improve the program, improve the mentor program?
I think that's a good question. Yeah, I know what you're saying, but I think it's a good question. I'm just trying to determine an answer to that question. So I think there's a definite benefit in helping your employees find their career path, or help them there. But from the and you have employees that are happy employees or productive employees, but you have to kind of weigh that against, okay, do we want to help our employee, put all this effort into helping our employees find the place that they want to be in? What does that do for us? Whereas we can just hire someone to fill this role. It's like, what's the benefit to going out of their way to helping someone develop their career? Like, is it really a lot of companies is it like their responsibility to say, hey, this job's a perfect fit for you, you should take this?
No, I agree. It's not their responsibility, but in my other class, we were talking about Zappos, where they're doing, in their training, everybody does call center at the beginning of training. And at the end of that, they will pay people to leave if they don't feel like they don't fit into the culture of Zappos. So, I think that's probably why I have ADD, because both classes are so similar this week, talking about careers and businesses. So that's kind of where I was going, is this company is paying people to leave, and it's saving them money instead of having employees who are half-hearted, barely making it through the day.
Yeah.
So if you were to find something like that, I think you would be able to retain more quality employees that would be more productive and help build their careers if you offered these kind of personal growth things.
Right.
My 2 cents.
It's a good 2 cents.
Right on. Thank you, guys. What might have been improved in the Federal Reserve Bank program? And it doesn't specify the pilot program. It's just saying within the Federal Bank Reserve program.
I like what Derek. No, I was just going to steal your idea that you posted.
Well, that was Derek, but
Oh, that was Derek. Okay, sorry, James.
I was going to say,
I'm getting you guys mixed up.
it's all good. I think I've lost my train of thought. Oh, I think that publicizing it more, making it more open to employees would definitely help it. Instead of making it more look like an elite club, it's more open. So I think that would definitely help it be successful.
Yeah, and just piggyback off you and one of Derek's comments, that take the elite club mentality away, just increase diversity. I'm not a proponent of saying you have to have this many women or this many men. I'm not really a proponent of that, but I'm a proponent of everyone kind of having an opportunity, and it'll naturally be diverse, if that makes sense. If it's all just a bunch of white dudes in the same age bracket, then what are people who are entering the program going to think? They're going to think they have to fit into that mold. Like, maybe that might not be the case, but it couldn't hurt to have a little diversity, because then everyone would feel anyone could do it, if that makes sense. And again, not advocating forcing diversity into it, because I think that causes the opposite problem. It takes it in the other direction. But
allowing a more natural process.
Yes, a natural diversification process.
Yes.
Like up here in Canada, we have I don't know if any of you know of the RCMP, the Mounties, the red suits. And come on, the Mounties, they have the red suits and the funny hats. I got a confused look from
Mounties,
Brienne.
yeah.
Yeah, super stereotypical, polite police officers in Canada. Yeah, those guys. Yeah, they recently had a thing where it was all white guys mostly, but so the federal government's like, this is a problem. So they made a quota that you have to have a certain amount. It has to be 50% women, and it has to have this many percent of ethnicities. This the police chief of the RCMP in my mission was a member, and he's like, so there's a problem with that. Over 90% of our applicants are white guys. So if I get 100 white guys who are applying, I can only accept 10 of them. Whereas if a woman comes in, she auto gets the job. Just she auto gets it. So there's two problems there. So a natural flow of diversity is probably the best bet. So that was just my little Canada experience rant.
Nope, that's a great example.
The only thing, I don't know, and this is super broad in general, but asking what can be improved upon the federal bank reserve program. It's just at the beginning of the reading, it was kind of talking about the somber, serious culture, nature. I think it gave the quote, do what you're told and we'll take care of you. And which I think in a lot of organizations is probably congruent with that. And I don't know. I think, yeah, we've talked a lot about what can improve upon in the mentoring program, but just as an organization or the program as a whole, I don't know if anybody has any other insight on that.
I would volunteer to say bring those mentees up in the management program. I think the article went on to state that a lot of those mentees were promoted shortly after, but used their newness. They were at least a year with the company, but allow their newness to the scene, bring new blood into that atmosphere of that rigid atmosphere. Let it be more loose with the new people coming in and have a new vibe to it.
Okay, thank you. I like that.
I guess I want to say, put those people in visible positions, not hidden away in the mailroom. Make them visible.
Okay. Why do we think that there were fewer people who signed up for the second round? And I guess we kind of already talked about it, maybe with prejudice or resentment towards the program.
Yeah, I think that did a lot of it for them. And I think D2 makes a good point that there was no marketing because they were like, it was just selective people. Yeah, it wasn't open. It was just like, no, we want you. And so less people wanted to do it because of the selection. So, I mean, nobody likes to be rejected before they even apply for something.
Yeah.
And I think it also goes back to the culture of kind of that, well, I'm afraid to do this because I don't want to perpetuate the, do it my way, but I want to learn. And I want, so I think there was less incentive for people to be involved because of the culture of it in general of like, sit down and do your job. So.
Yeah. What could the company have done to get more applicants? And again, that's kind of been addressed.
I think in general, not just the diversity thing, but in general, make people feel more comfortable with applying. Make people feel that they actually have a shot. I don't know necessarily how. I think there's more than one way of doing that. So I just think in general, if people felt comfortable and felt confident enough that they could do it, then more people would apply.
And maybe try to squash some of the prejudice where people are thinking that it's super selective or super out of their reach, and just letting them know that everybody will have an opportunity to take part, but it's just going to come in waves, and
Yeah.
I don't know.
Everyone's going to have a chance.
When you think about that, though, it's a year-long mentorship program. So in order for the next wave of people to get in, that's another 2 years. They would have been with the company at least 2 years, because the initial requirement is they have to have been there for a year.
Right.
So these are almost senior employees at that point.
Hmm.
Yeah. Ben, do we have more questions, or Derek was asking if we should move on to doohickeys?
Is it, I guess I don't know the protocol. Like, can I answer? There's a few more questions. We can run through them really briefly, but, or I can answer them myself. I don't know how that should work. I guess the next one, well, what should they do with the mentoring program moving forward? Should they expand it? Should they keep it small? I was just thinking, what if they had, like, each quarter they started a new round? They could keep it being a year, or they could move it to 6 months, but every quarter they could start, or maybe a smaller round, and try and filter more people through it.
Well, I was even thinking, like, going off of that is like doing a quarter group and moving that group through. So you have 4 groups going at a time, but at different levels. Does that make sense? So you're getting more management involved, and you're getting more, lower employees involved, to, again, build that culture. Because you just have more people involved, but it wouldn't be as cumbersome, like stop and go. Does that make sense?
Yeah. How do we get more people involved without forcing them? I think we've kind of talked about that.
Yeah, I think Mark covered that really well.
How can they encourage people who need the mentoring to get mentoring?
What if they did it on, like, one of their reviews?
Have it be a mandate? Yeah, I don't.
Well, no, because you know how we were discussing, like, when you do your annual review and changing it to kind of a 360 as, these are the things I'd like you to look at. It could be just a part of their review, their goals, you all know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, their performance reviews.
Yeah.
Job objectives. Okay. How do they get enough people to mentor?
Are we talking enough people to mentor, or enough people to be mentors? Sorry.
I think I mean, to me, it sounds like to be mentors. I think it works both ways, though.
Okay. Well, because I was like, we've covered being the mentee and more people getting involved. That mentors, again, I think it's more of like, okay, you're in management. Let's see what you can do and expand your management forte.
Yeah. Or maybe lower, like, the requirement for, like, you don't have to be 5 years with the company. Maybe you can be 2 years with the company, or maybe there's additional ways that you could qualify for being a mentor. Ask each team member what they would do. Ask them to be specific about what they would do.
All right, I'm going to give mine in a nutshell. 1, I would do the quarterly thing, get the rotating door a little more. Mentors do a leadership training. And mentees, I would take Mark's suggestion of making it a more open and fluid process to encourage natural selection. That probably sounded really bad, but
that works. I guess I'll go next since Brienne kind of took mine. I'll kind of roll with it. That's more or less what I would do, to make it open to everyone, but not just that. You have to make everyone feel like they can do it. I would actually make it easier for like the actual lower the requirements to become a mentee, if that makes sense. Because yeah, you can be selective about who does it, but if you have really high requirements here, it'll just give the impression of it being an elite thing. So I'd make at least on paper, requirements look a lot easier. Not being deceptive about it, but make it easier for people to apply in general. Maybe lower the time frame of how long the program lasts, because after a year, yeah, I think we've agreed. After a year, people lose that enthusiasm, lose that drive.
Okay.
I wonder if they couldn't disband the whole program and then make it a weekly or every other week roundtable discussion where people are able to come in and ask questions of an open panel of upper management, and make it that way so it's open to anyone and anyone can grow from it and come back every 2 weeks. Hey, how do I solve this problem? And then go with that.
Okay. Derek? Either?
I would say the 2-hour luncheon that happened at the end of the year, I think that should be open to everyone. Because if they can actually see the results from both sides, the mentors and the mentees, then they would actually be motivated to apply the next time around. Because I know it was a more intimate lunch with just the mentors, mentees, and upper management, but that didn't give anyone else an opportunity to kind of really see the fruits of that program. And if they implemented that, I think it would work. And much along with what everyone else has said, shorten up the program, allow other people with not as stringent parameters to get into the program would be helpful as well.
D2?
You mean D1? But
D1.
I mean, I agree with mostly what's been said, and I like James' idea about, you know, having more of like an open panel. I think you could have both, you know. You could just add that to the program, and you know, just see how it goes and see what works, and just you know, be open to suggestions from both mentors and mentees on what they think or what they observe or how they feel about the program and what needs to be added to improve it. You know, like take surveys and see how things are going, and you know, don't just like, oh, we're going to do this and we're going to let it go for a year. If there's changes that need to be made, and you know, 9 out of the 10 people being surveyed are saying that these changes need to be made, I think it's something that should be considered, and if it's possible, make changes.
Okay. Awesome. Thanks, guys. It says, and I don't know how much time we have to spend on this, but list the suggestions your team has come up with and discuss the pros and cons for each. Have the team vote on the best or the approach they like best. So, I mean, Brianna, you had voiced leadership training, making it more open and a fluid process to encourage natural selection within the company. Do we want to vote pro or con, or I don't know, adapt part of that now that everything has been talked about?
I think it's honestly an adaptation of a lot of what we've discussed. I think we all have really good ideas. So to actually pick one would be difficult. So, yeah, I agree with Derek and James. We vetoed that question because it's an adaptation question, depending on situation and who your mentors are and who, so.
Well, is it fair for
idea.
us? What if we just took the best from all of that and put that into our suggestion, where maybe there's some more transparency within the program, so people aren't feeling so excluded from it, and so maybe there could continuously be the trainings for a shorter period of time, paired with like a bi-weekly or monthly luncheon where they get together and they talk about what's going on and be able to see some of the benefits, talk about like I think you said, Derek, like from the corporate team, the leadership team, get them on board. And I think ultimately, in my opinion, like all this has come down to is like building value within the company. And we've talked about it. And I think the more opportunity there is to empower the employees and let them know that they're cared about and valued and taken care of. And even if it's within a different position in this job, or even if it's outside of this company, like, we want to support you. And I think that's kind of like what their goal is. And so thoughts? I must have been way off.
No, I think you're right on about building value within the company.
Definitely, it's going to keep people coming back and keep people there if they see value in it.
And I think that's how they changed the culture that they talked about at the beginning, from being like the dark, and not dark, but like just very formal and professional. And I think it can seem that way if I feel like I'm just another suit in the office. But if it feels like somebody knows my name and, oh, I shook hands and chatted with so-and-so from corporate, like just different ways that I can feel like included as part of the team. I think that goes a long way. Can we just settle with that? Good? Right on. Thanks, guys. So doohickeys?
Yep.
So it looks like, and I chatted with Derek for a quick second earlier, it sounds like, and it looks like the Google Drive has been updated, and I think everybody has their name signed in except Mark, I believe.
Oh, okay. I don't have mine. Give me a second.
So
my computer hates me today. My bad.
Derek has come up with, so the three problems that we're going to be tackling, I guess, with this paper is workplace safety, career development, and hiring. And so I guess, I don't know if we discuss that, but is everybody on board with that? I think there's ample examples of each one of those within the paper to be discussed.
No, I think it's great. What is the time frame on this that we need it?
So,
because again, for editing purposes, and
I'm open to whatever. I think what we did last time is the week before. So we had this meeting, and then Friday night at midnight, everybody had their rough drafts in, and then, or like just the bullet points, and then the rough draft was submitted next Wednesday at noon, and the final draft was submitted for editing by Friday. Yeah.
Okay.
So do we want to keep that timeline?
Yeah, and it.
Could I?
Sorry, go ahead, Mark.
Sorry. I was just going to ask if I get a link to the Google Drive again, because I don't know why, but I've never been great with Google Drive.
Yeah, and it's due the following Monday, aka the beginning of week 9, correct? The Monday at 8 a.m.
Correct.
Okay.
I just sent that to you, Mark.
Okay. I'm good with that time frame. That works great for me. I think, by the way, awesome job, everybody, on the first one. Like, yay! So I think if we just stick to it and give ample time, we'll be golden. So.
Leanne's enjoying it. That actually works, right?
Looking at this list of who's doing what, I don't see a spot where Mark can sign up for anything.
For the
Wait,
team.
what? I'm trying to get into it in the first place.
Did you get the link, Mark?
I got no link.
I sent it to Mark A. Hillman at hotmail.com.
That's the one. Let me see. Oh, here it goes. It was in my spam folder.
Classic.
Computer hates me, I swear. It's out to get me. It really is. Okay. So once again, everyone has signed up for something before me. Great. Okay. Does that mean I edit it again?
Steven signed up as an editor, but should we have you as a backup? I don't know what's going on with Steven.
I don't want to just sit around and do nothing.
Well, no, and I appreciate that you're not a lazy person.
Oh, I always hated that guy in the
suggestion.
group, but so I don't want to be that.
I have a quick suggestion. I don't know if you guys are open to it, but I think Steven Murma should be the team leader for this. So he's just not responsible for it, because in the next meeting, he has to be the team leader for the Google meeting. That way he has to write that paper that weekend. So he doesn't have to focus on the actual doohickeys paper. And then I would switch out Derek, D1, to have you be the editor and bibliography, because you already did the intro and conclusion last time. And then have Mark do the intro and conclusion.
I like it.
That's my thought.
So
D1 has to be on board.
You're telling me to do the editor and bibliography. As far as bibliography goes, I don't know exactly what he was doing, or who was it that did that last time?
Boy, that was me.
What did you do? You just proofread it and then made sure.
Proofread, fixed all spelling errors. Shockingly, some of you were great. I'm not going to name names, but some of you were work on your spelling. But I'm kidding. Read through all of it. Look at spelling, grammar, punctuation. It wasn't that bad last time. Change it to the proper pronouns. Like there's a few we were going I, they, and like it was all over the place. Had to fix that. Not gonna lie, there was I think 1 or 2 sections I literally deleted like 3 or 4 sentences and typed out like it's like this is a run-on sentence. Just
Mark, I never got the paper that you sent the instructor.
Right? Let's do that.
Send that out
now.
Right now. And
now.
then we have an example.
The bibliography wasn't that complicated. I really didn't do anything fancy with it at all. And I was like, oh crap, I really should have done something fancy with it. And then he gives us an A, and I'm like, okay, well, it worked.
Well, I think a bibliography doesn't need to be fancy. It just needs to be numbered in alphabetical order and in the same format, and I think we'll be fine.
Yeah, it was.
Just look at what you did, and if I have questions, I'll ask you.
Mm-hmm. 1 second. Copy you and put this.
I just put my name in there because I came in here yesterday and I was looking at it. I'm like, oh, okay. I guess, we got to switch our names here, huh?
Yeah, basically just swap the names around. Yeah, if you need help editing it, just let me know. The reason I was panicking about like I should have been better with bibliography is my old school was really, really tight about that stuff, like MLA format, Chicago style format, you name it. So I'm like, oh, I kind of half butted the bibliography, but it turns out he loved the bibliography because he commented that he liked it. So I'm okay with it. So just make sure everything's referenced properly and you're good.
Okay. So what is it? Everyone's referencing inside their
Yeah, everyone had their own
Mom-
references.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because you did the intro. You didn't really have any
I
references
did.
last time.
I just
Yes.
did intro and conclusion.
Yeah. Everyone had references to what they quoted, like from the internet or what have you, books, readings, whatever it was. You had to put that into proper format and then quote it with just numbers and.
So what, you put the website at the end of the paragraph or something, or some of these?
No, I took all those out, put it into a bibliography, so there's no like websites in the paragraphs itself. So at the end of the quote, I would have like a small italic number at the top that was only really noticeable if you looked.
Yeah.
Like after the period number, the number would then reference the reference a number in the bibliography that was where the reference came from.
Okay, I'm gonna take a look at it. I guess when you send it out to all of us, right?
Yeah, I just did.
And Derek, if you have questions about that, it sounds like people willing to help. I'm willing to help. Like you can Google in-text citations in Word, and it's pretty easy to figure out. So if you need it,
I've done in-text citations, but everybody has their way of doing it, you know.
Yeah.
So,
Well, apparently the way I did it got us an A.
so that's why I want to look at what
I
you
didn't
did.
think it would, to be honest, but hey. So, not saying you have to do it the way I did it.
Yeah, but it's better. It's better to keep it going the same way if that got us an A, you know.
You know what? This statement might make Brianne happy, but accounting standards, just be consistent. Be consistent, and accountants are happy.
all right. So are we? Everybody know what we're doing?
I think so. Yeah.
Awesome.
Let's recap. Let's see. This Friday, our bullet points are due. Next Wednesday, that's week 8, we'll have a rough draft. And then Monday of week 9 is when it's going to be submitted by.
But don't forget, Friday is when final drafts are due.
Final Friday.
Yeah.
Friday of which week?
Of next week.
Okay.
Does that mean because Mark submitted? Does that mean I submitted?
I just submitted it because I had it. I don't know who's. I wasn't the leader supposed to submit it, I think.
Yeah. All right.
But
sorry, guys. I got to roll.
Okay.
But
Thanks, everyone.
have a good one. Sorry, guys.
No worries.
Mark, I haven't
yes?
seen that yet.
I just sent it via email. Did anyone else get it? I thought I sent it to everybody.
I'm looking at my email now and I don't see.
Check your spam. I just did it as a reply to the last email I got.
You sent it to my Gmail?
Maybe. I just clicked reply, and that was something everyone was on. I'm like, okay, this is attached to everybody. Let's send it.
Yeah.
Is anyone else having problems finding it?
I don't see it.
Okay. All right.
I got an email from Tommy for Idaho, Governor Romney.
That's not me.
Governor Romney?
I looked at my
That's not
spam
me.
folder.
That's absolutely not me. I sent it to Ben. Ben got. Oh, my computer hates me. I swear. Okay, let's do this. Eric. Brianne. Who else am I missing? I got Ben, Derek, and Brianne.
James, Stephen.
James, Stephen, get it. I'm like, wait. Oh, there's so many James. What's your last name, James? Payne?
Payne. PAY 12003.
Got it. And okay. And what's Steven's last name? Real quick.
Murma.
Okay, got it. All right. That's everybody. Attaching it. Sorry, I thought this is like the third time. I was like, yeah, I sent it. No, I didn't, apparently. Maybe it's a good thing I'm not submitting it this time around to the professor. And it is loading because, it hates me. Okay. I just sent it to everyone.
Hitting refresh.
Okay. Should get there. Email has said it's sent.
Got it.
Okay. Everyone's got it. Cool. Again, I
Got
didn't
it.
do anything fancy. I just edited it and fixed basic spelling errors.
Right on. Thank you.
No worries.
Was it sent to the Gmail? Or where was it sent?
I sent it to the first thing that popped up when I clicked Ben, so probably BYUI.
I see it. Now I finally see it here. Took a while. Okay.
All right, I gotta go, guys.
Had to come from Canada.
Yeah, I know, right? It's got to air post it, and then they got to tax you when they cross the border, and then they have to do the maple syrup dance, the whole 9 yards.
Yep.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
All right. Later.
Hey, real quick, Derek, will you send me the link, or is it the same link that we've been using? You there?
Sorry, I forgot to unmute my mic. I'll send it. It should be a smaller link. I'll send it to the school's email, the group chat or email that we've been doing. I'll send it right now.